Good morning, treasure finders. I thought I would pop on here really quick this morning. We have moved up to the Palm Harbor area, and I'm not incognito here. I'm not trying to be in disguise. It's just really early, and I'm ready for a full day of shelling, hopefully, and maybe some metal detecting today. I am at Honeymoon Island State Park, and the park is not even open yet. I don't think it opens for 10 more minutes, but I'm actually about fifth in line, and there's a whole bunch of cars behind me as well. And this is one of my favorite places. Other than Sanibel, this is probably my second favorite beach in Florida. It's just north of the Clearwater area and just south of Palm Harbor where we're staying. I'm ready for a full day on the beach, and I will take you along and show you Honeymoon Island State Park. You won't be disappointed. I did get very lucky on my first day on Honeymoon Island State Park because at 8 o'clock when the park opened, it was also low tide. So I had some really good low tide shelling before the tide started to come back in. It's definitely a plus on Honeymoon, and you'll see why even in future videos, why the low tide is key for finding good shells on Honeymoon. As you can see in this clip, there are so many chestnut turbans on Honeymoon Island. You can't even attempt to try to pick them all up. I remember that from the last time we were here a few years ago. They're still really fun to pick up. I like to pick up sort of the bigger ones, but there's just way too many. I'm not sure why they congregate on Honeymoon Island, but they're plentiful on this island. I learned very quickly that at low tide there is a lot of live fighting conchs. So I was very careful when I picked those up because there was just a ton of fighting conchs that were alive. Taking a little shelling break, a little water break, and I just wanted to show you one tip just on the things to bring with you, the minimum amount of things to bring if you're going to shell for a few hours. The first thing is my shoes. I have pretty good shelling shoes. They're not the greatest, but they're pretty good. They protect my toes and the bottom of my feet. I have my shelling bag, of course, and my Osmo Action. I have this bag right here, and this is waterproof, and I keep my car keys and my wallet in here, and also my phone, but I'm using my phone right now. I always have water with me. Don't forget to bring water. And then in here, this is bug spray that I made. Some tissues. I have mace, actually, because you never know where you're going to be. I have lip stuff and some sunscreen. That is kind of the minimum of stuff that I bring when I shell. Sometimes I bring a big backpack that has more camera equipment. Oh, I also have my emergency whistle with me. So just make sure that you're safe when you're out there, especially if you're by yourself. One of my favorite things to do on honeymoon is to pick through these rocks. It's sort of a unique thing that Honeymoon Island has, these rocks along the shore, and shells always get caught up within the rocks. So it was a little murky, but I do love to spend time picking through the rocks. If you're going to walk way up the beach on this island, it's a good idea to have some good footwear. There is a lot of broken trees and stumps coming out of the sand, and if you're really focused on looking at the shells, you could really hurt yourself by stepping on some of these lower stumps. So it's just a good idea to have some good footwear if you're gonna make a day of it on the island. Here's a little bit of mermaid money, or the operculums for the chestnut turbans. I'm going to talk about those a little bit more in depth in a future video, and I also talked about them in a past video, which I'll link right here. I'm wrapping up my first day shelling at Honeymoon Island State Park. It was a great day shelling. I got here about 8 o'clock when the park opened, and it's almost noon right now. I was gonna maybe do some metal detecting, but it's really still today. It's getting really hot. Boo-hoo, right? It's December 5th and it's getting really hot. I love it, but I've been out in the sun for 4 hours now. If you haven't noticed, I'm a little fair-skinned, and that's about all that my skin can handle for a day. And I'm here for a month, so I don't need to kill it in the first day. But I will show you my shells in just a few minutes. This is such a great place to come shelling. The shells aren't quite as diverse as they are on Sanibel, but it's still just a really great place to come shelling, and just to be at the beach. It's so beautiful here. So stay tuned for the shell and tell, and also I'm going to be here for a month, so I think we're going to do a lot of shelling at Honeymoon Island. Once again, I'm going to use this pointer. For those of you that haven't seen my other videos, I have a little problem with my hands. They shake a bit, so I use this little pointer to help out when I'm chatting. So all of these chestnut turbans, Honeymoon Island State Park is just covered in these chestnut turbans. They're everywhere. They're absolutely beautiful. They come in lots of different sizes and colors. And you might think, oh my God, you took every one on the whole beach. I didn't even come close. There's so many on the beach that you end up stopping. You know, my daughter said, how do you choose? I said, I don't know. I really like the really big ones like these. And I don't know, some of them just jump into my bag. Moving on over on this side, this I believe is an operculum to a shell. I'm not sure. If anybody knows, it's paper thin. It's not a jingle. I'll show you a jingle. Here's a jingle. These are very translucent and kind of shiny. This is really flat, and I just think it might be an operculum. Speaking of operculum, right here, these three little things here, we call them mermaid money. They are the operculums for the chestnut turban, and the operculum is the little trapdoor that keeps the live animals safe inside the shell. In my next video, I'm gonna talk all about mermaid money. I'm gonna talk about where you get it and how you spend it. No, I'm not gonna talk about that today. I'm gonna talk about that in my next video. Of course, I found worm snails. You know I love those. Look at this one. This one is really fun. Woo, cool. I did grab a couple pieces of coral. Again, I don't know if you're allowed to take that from the beaches. If you're not, then I'll probably get arrested. But just found a couple of pieces here. A little bit of sea glass. It's really not very frosted. Probably get recycled. This right here, I found 2 of these really big ones and then a couple of small ones on Sanibel. And I was debating with someone online. I think they're either a leafy jewel box or an Atlantic jewel box. If anybody knows, please chime in. Leaning towards leafy jewel box. This one is kind of worn, And so I'm not 100% sure, but I just thought that was kind of an interesting different shell that I don't normally find. Moving on, this is just a apple murex, I believe. It's sort of prehistoric. It's almost like a fossil. These are Sunray Venus. I think these are really beautiful shells, and they get really big. Ooh. And they're also really shiny when they're in really good shape. They're as shiny as some of the olives. In addition to chestnut turbans on Honeymoon Island, there is a lot of olives to find. This was the biggest one that I found. It is a teeny bit broken, so it might go back to the beach, but lots of different sizes of olives. Over here are some scallops and some bay scallops. If you've been watching my videos, you know that I love the orange ones and the yellow ones, and I can't resist picking up those sweet little orange shells. Up here, I'm not exactly sure what this is. Again, looks kind of fossilized. It also looks a little bit abnormal. I don't know if this is just a regular fighting conch or if it's a king's crown or something else. If you want to weigh in on what that one is, I'm not 100% sure. A couple of augers, a moon snail. Sorry, I just washed these and they're kind of drying up. They look so much prettier when they're wet. There's no shortage of fighting conchs out there either. I found a lot of empty ones and really big. I didn't clean these real well. They have a little bit of a film on them, but huge, really big fighting conchs. I did find a lot of ones that were alive, as you saw in the video, so those go back. This is something that I can never find in Sanibel, really, the Atlantic star snail. None of these are perfect. They're all just a little bit worn, but you can kind of see the pointy edges when they have pointy edges. Sometimes they're just completely worn down, but I'm really drawn to those. Plus they're really, I don't know, I just think they're really pretty. That wraps up the first day shelling on Honeymoon Island. I'm sure there's going to be many more days shelling out there, and stay tuned for the next Honeymoon Island where we're going to talk about that mermaid money. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so. I would really appreciate it, and give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you on the beach somewhere.